what happened, but hopefully I couldn't. My computer is kind of giving me problems, and now I actually don't even have anywhere to put my phone. So hold on. I hope that you can see me, hear me. I can't even see the chat. I don't know how to work it on my on my phone. No, like, so I don't know how to work it on my phone, guys. Let's see. I don't know how to work it on my phone, but I'm here. If you have any questions, let me see if I can put you somewhere so I can. Wait. Okay. So I'm hoping that you can all see me and let me know. I know I have one question from one individual who was actually waiting and she had her questions and everything ready for me, but I was having problems with my computer. Let me see if I can. Sorry guys, this is what happened, but hopefully I couldn't. My computer is kind of giving me problems, and now I actually don't even have anywhere to put my phone. So hold on. I hope that you can see me, hear me. I can't even see the chat. I don't know how to work it on my on my phone. Okay, so what I'm doing basically is, so I don't know how to work it on my phone, guys. Let's see. So what I'm doing, guys, is basically I have my computer. I can actually see my live going, and I'm hoping I can see the questions on the computer, but somehow I couldn't start the live on my computer for whatever reason. So if you have any questions, guys, type them in and hopefully I can see it on my computer. But I did have one question that came in before and I want to address that. Hold on, let me see if I can find. Come on. Okay, so Rachetti, that's the name I think it is. Not sure. She asked that hi Christine, thank you for your YouTube videos. They are so helpful. How can I deal with feelings of inadequacy and comparing myself to others? It affects how I view myself in relationships. Okay, definitely. Let me see. So you want to find out how can you deal with feelings of inadequacy. Now, Saracheti, sorry, I don't know. I guess that's your name that you use on YouTube. So the issue with that is that there are things in your, from your growing up, maybe your past relationships, there are reasons why you have this feelings of inadequacy. And they were probably, more than likely, people always told you certain things that you couldn't do. Maybe you didn't, they probably told you about how you looked, or you just you weren't enough. So you always felt that you were not enough. Let me take off these lights and see if that helps. Yeah, it's kind of bright. So you always felt that somehow you were not enough, right? What you have to, so basically you have to work on yourself. But how do you deal with these feelings of inadequacy and comparing yourself to others? When you recognize that no matter how much you compare yourself to others, that you can never compare yourself to others, only because you'll always find somebody better than you in some way. So for example, say you're doing you have a bachelor's. There's somebody who's going to have a master's or a PhD, and then so not comparing yourself to others. Comparing yourself to others is a lose-lose game. What you need to do is always work on yourself as an individual, and really just concentrate on being better every single day. So when you compare yourself, you're comparing yourself with who you were yesterday. not with somebody else, because there's always going to be someone else prettier than you, brighter than you, smarter than you, richer than you, right? So you always just compare yourself to yourself. So you're going to be going on your personal growth journey to being better, yourself being better. So you're only always going to be comparing yourself to who you were yesterday, and each day should be an improvement, and that will eventually build your individual self-esteem, and your self-image. And remember that that feeling of inadequacy is sometimes because somebody else made you feel inadequate. But you have to also question yourself and say, am I inadequate? Because sometimes we just accept what others say or the way they treat us. And so what you need to do is use this question in turning around and taking your power back from that feeling of inadequacy by asking, what am I inadequate? In what way am I inadequate? Now, there may be some ways that you are inadequate, but so what can I do about this part of my life that I feel inadequate in? Do I feel like I'm overweight, say for example, right? Or do I feel that maybe I just don't carry myself well, or maybe dress right, do my hair up, or whatever it might be. So those are things that you can change, right? So don't, what I want you to really not try to do is to allow others to define who you are. You cannot allow others to define who you are, because people are always going to have their opinion of who you are. You have to learn to have the opinion of who you are, of yourself, okay? So I hope that answers that question. I think, let's see, it affects how you view yourself in relationships. Now, this might be that you might need to choose people, be very careful of who you choose to be in relationship with. Because if you're not healed, say I'm guessing the fact that you're feeling inadequate and comparing yourself to others is that you're more than likely someone with an anxious, preoccupied attachment style, which means that you're always looking to others for validation. This is why this is bothering you, and so this is why you need to work on you to heal that attachment style and the traumas and the characteristic traits, that has Martin, hi Martin, hold on, I soon come, characteristic traits that will identify them as somebody who's anxious. So Martin, you have to put that thing up again because it disappeared. Hold on. Okay, I see it on my computer. Okay, why do people cheat? Is there any difference between the two traditional gender roles, that is men versus women? People treat, sorry, Martin. So let me go with the first question you have. Why do people cheat? People cheat for many different reasons. People cheat because that's what they saw in their homes as they grew up. It was something that was normal. The people they hung around with, it was normal to cheat, especially if it's, whether it's a man or a woman. It can happen with both sexes, right? So it can be that they grew up in a certain home environment, where cheating was normalized, right? So that could be one reason. It could be also that this person just never learned the value of really working on relationships. Perhaps they also have problems with their attachment styles, where certain attachment styles are more likely to cheat because they don't value that. They're afraid of connecting to that one person, that one individual, because connecting to one individual is going to require more emotional depth. Whereas cheating and going from one person to the next, it means that they don't have to get too deep emotionally with that one person. It can also be because someone, is maybe their partner is not, paying attention to them and fulfilling their needs. Everybody in relationships have certain needs. Or and then if one person is just selfish and just taking and not giving back, that can be a reason when somebody else, that other person goes out there. It's not a license to cheat, it's just what happens in real life. That person might go up there at work, and then somebody all of a sudden is giving them the attention and the love and the whatever it is that they need to, to feel good, because we all need to feel good, valued, and validated in our relationships. So that could be one of the reasons, a couple of the reasons why people cheat. But a lot of people use cheat, people can use a lot of things for cheating, a lot of excuses for cheating. And so there's so many different reasons why people cheat, Martin. The other thing is there any difference between the two traditional gender roles, men versus women? Well, I hope I'm understanding your question, but from what I understand is that before, the traditional gender role was that the man go out and work, the woman stays home and take care of the home and the kids, right? Of course, nowadays sometimes it's flipped. Sometimes the men now stay home. It depends on the work, the dynamic of the couple. Maybe they've decided that the female will makes more money than the male, and so the female will go out and make the money, and they're quite fine with that. It all depends on how comfortable the couple is with that role. It should be a discussion between each person in that partnership, what is best for the family, really. And so gender roles nowadays, I think, it's much more fluid. It's not as rigid as it was in the past when I was growing up, where it was the man who go out and earn, the mother stayed home and took care of the home and the kids. So I don't know if that answered your question, but basically, that's what I understand from your question, Martin. So let me know if you have any other questions. In the meantime, let me look at what I had some questions from. There was someone who asked, what if I'm in, this was from a video that I did for the dismissive avoidant attachment style. And this viewer, she asked, what if I'm 7 months in a relationship with someone I've known for 3 years and deeply emotionally invested? How do I slow my roll? I'll answer that one first. And then the other questions are, how do I detach myself emotionally after already being deeply in? Okay, so if you've watched any of my videos on a regular basis, you'll always hear me say, guys, slow your roll from the beginning. Don't get attached too quickly. Because once you're attached, it becomes so difficult to really kind of detach, right? We all know that, because all of us who've been in any kind of relationship know that once you're attached to somebody, because that emotional connection is so strong, guys, you have to be very careful and take it really, really slowly in the beginning when you're meeting someone, because that's going to present a difficulty for you, and it's going to be much harder for you to break free from that person than it is in the beginning if you just take your time and slow your roll. So she asked, she's in 7 months in this relationship with someone I've known for 3 years and deeply emotional. She said she got invested very, very, very deeply already. And so how do you slow your roll at this point? It's going to be hard. Okay, it's going to be hard. And that's why I always say start out slowing your roll at the beginning. But anyway, what you can do is really ask yourself a few questions about where you are in this relationship. The state, does this person, being in a relationship with this individual, do I see this lasting long term? Right? What is it about this person that makes me feel good? You list that. What is it that makes me feel bad? Right? And you're going to kind of do an evaluation of this relationship. You have to be logical now. At this point, have to really force yourself to be logical and not think emotionally or feel emotionally. You have to try and detach your emotional, that emotional part of you to be able to really answer these questions honestly for yourself, because really, if you try and fool yourself, you're just going to be ending up back in the same kind of problem that you're in right now, right? So the best thing to do is really try to detach yourself logically and ask yourself, where do I see this relationship going? Where do I see going? What about this relationship makes me unhappy? What about this relationship makes me happy? And you do kind of like a balance sheet, guys. I mean, sorry, it just was this one person. Do kind of like a balance sheet and say, okay, this person, okay, they make me happy this much, but they make me unhappy this much. Well, that does not look too good, right? That's not going to feel too. How do you feel when you're with this person, and how do you feel when you're away from this person? A lot of people will be miserable while they're with the person, right? And then when they leave, although they know that they were miserable with this person, they have the tendency to forget, and they focus more on the good parts and forget the bad parts, and so it keeps them entangled into that emotional soup, as you might call it, right? And so you have to be at this point now, just really be able to detach your emotions and think more in a logical manner with your frontal cortex, where you're more logical, right? And you think about, what are the good things in this relationship? Do I even see this relationship lasting? And if it lasts, will I be happy in this relationship? You have to question the status of your relationship, and really just logically decide, is this something, or is this somewhere where where I see myself in 20, 40 years? And if you see yourself in this relationship 20, 40, will you be happy? These are the questions you have to ask yourself, right? That will help you to slow your roll, as you mentioned. And how do I detach myself emotionally after already being deeply in? The same thing is being logical. Detaching it by doing this, and by asking yourself these questions, it will allow you to detach emotionally when you see the evidence, because you're always going to be looking for the evidence, guys. You're always going to be looking for, what is the evidence that this is true? So if these are the things that make me happy is like this, and this is what makes me unhappy is like this, then that you have the evidence, especially when you write them down so you can actually visually see them. Writing things down, guys, makes it tangible. It makes it real. When it's in your head, it's just floating up there, and it has nowhere to land, right? When you write things down, it makes it tangible, so that you can actually get a grip and look at it and say, oh, yeah, this is what's happening, and this is what's real in this relationship. And 20 years down the line, I will be miserable as hell, right? If that is what you see, then you know that will help you slow your roll, because now there is evidence because of past behaviors and past interactions with your partner. I hope that helps. Let me see if you guys have any other questions. Whatever happened here? Okay, Mario, hi Christine, nice to watch your videos. Question is, why dismissive avoidant ex blocked me after a month of breakup on WhatsApp, I guess. Think because my status with my new car, 3 months since, still block. I'm hoping I understand you, Mario. It sounds like your dismissive avoidant ex blocked you after a month after you broke up on WhatsApp. And you're thinking that maybe it's your status, that you got a new car, that maybe that's their, do you think that they're envious, or kind of, well, I'm not sure what you're asking, but what I can say is that one of the ways that when you are with a dismissive avoidant individual, they don't like emotional intensity. So if it's something that you're always like texting back stuff that might emotionally trigger them or make them very, very, very and angry when you text them certain things, especially since it seems like you guys broke up. So I'm guessing that the interaction might not be too pleasant, and they're not going to like that. It's not going to be comfortable for them. So they will want nothing to do with you, even though they like the connection. And maybe if you texted nice things to them, they would not block you. But if you're probably like questioning certain things that made them uncomfortable, they might want to just not deal with it, and so they'll block you. I don't know about the status thing. I don't think they're not, that is not one of the traits of a dismissive avoidant. To kind of like be, when I say traits, of course people are individuals and can do whatever they grew up in different environments, but it's not one of those things. Jealousy is not one of them. Jealous, when I say because they're really not going to, jealousy is not something, or envy of what you have. So I don't believe that would be the reason why they would block you. I think it might be perhaps the fact that you guys are not together anymore, and maybe blocking you on WhatsApp, maybe you were communicating certain things that was too emotionally deep for them or triggering for them, and so they blocked you because of that. So that's my guess. Of course I really don't know. That's just my guess. Okay. Any other questions? Let's see. Somebody asked, how do you stop going back to the person who hurt you? And that is a very common question, and a very common concern for a lot of individuals, because, and this is also very thing there with the anxious preoccupied. This is something that they struggle with, the anxious preoccupied. Keep going back to the person who hurt them. Because as I think I mentioned earlier, that a lot of times when we are with the person, we know that they hurt us. We know that they make us feel bad in certain ways in the relationship while we're with them. But when we leave them, or maybe we break up, we have the tendency, especially the anxious and sometimes the fearful, avoidant, have a tendency of only remembering the good parts, the good things in the relationship. And so the good things of how they made them feel good and what they did that was good for them and to them, the good parts, they remember that. But the bad parts, they it almost magically disappears, right? But the fact is that you left that person for a reason. That person left you for a reason. Whatever the reason is, there was a problem in the relationship, right? And so going back to someone who hurt you, how do you stop going back to somebody who hurt you? And I tell you that the questioning thing is always one of the most powerful ways of preventing yourself from making mistakes all the time and going back to things that, doing things that you shouldn't be doing, that you will regret doing later on, I would say. So going back to somebody, make a list of how it was in relationship, because as I say, you normally just tend to go back to the good stuff, right? And forget the bad stuff. So when you sit down now and really just think about it logically and write down these things, what are the good things in this relationship? How does this person make me feel? When I leave and I go somewhere else, like when I separate from them, do I feel vitalized, or do I feel drained and like, you're just drained of your energy because of the way they make you feel, right? You have to ask these questions, guys, and these questions are so powerful, because what the questions allow you to do is really see it in a tangible format of what were the things that this, what was in the real world. How did this person make you feel? Did they make you feel, what did they do that you liked? What did they do that you didn't like? You see all of those things on paper, and when you see that on paper, in writing, you're better able to think that next time you decide you want to go back to this person, you look at this thing and say, okay, so if I go back to this person, this is what I'm going to have to deal with, the negative things, right? Yes, there are these little tiny positive things, yeah, but there's this long old list of negative things that I'm going to have to deal with over again. And especially if the person never saw anything wrong with what they were doing, that's even worse, right? So I think that you just have to get to that place where you have the evidence. I always say, have the evidence, and there's always evidence. It's just that you ignore the evidence, or you ignore the reality of what is, and you're living in this fantasy world of thinking that either you can change that person, or maybe that person will change for you, which they didn't. But you're not going to think that, because you're so in love with that person that you just keep trying to. It's almost like going back and going back, and hopefully this time it will work, hopefully this time it will work, hopefully this time it will work, and it never does. So that is one way to really stop going back to that person who hurt you over and over again, many times. So you go back and you're looking for a different response, but it's the same response that you're going to get. All right, guys, let's see. Any other questions? Okay, so I don't see any other questions on the chat. Let me see if I have any other ones written down from other viewers. This one is more of a family one. This is more of a family question, relationship in a family, because I deal with all relationships, guys. I deal with family relationships, I deal with intimate relationships, children and their parents, because there are a lot of individuals who teenagers who, or women or men who has problems, who have problems with their parents, and I deal with that to help them work through that. So this person wrote and asked, how do you handle the disappointment of having helped someone as a family member, and in every possible way? They have sometimes also, this person, I believe, is someone who gives and gives and gives and gives of themselves, and the thing is that when someone gives of themselves, there's usually a little, they don't feel it or they don't think it when they're giving, but there's usually a little hope that when you give of yourself, you're going to get at least something back in return. Not necessarily the thing that you're giving, right? But maybe love, maybe connection, maybe some kind of validation, maybe some kind of being there for them when they need you, being there for you when you need them. So a lot of times or love, whatever it is. So sometimes we give to get. We don't think of it like that, but that's actually what happens. Because if you didn't give to get subconsciously, it would not matter what those people did. So in this case, this person, she was giving and giving and giving to her family members, right? And then when she was no longer able to give to her family members, then they just kind of like threw her to the wind. They just didn't have anything to do with her anymore, right? So this individual, was treated like an outcast, is the way she described it, when she stopped doing it. And this, as a matter of fact, I mean, I've had clients who have had that kind of experience with their parents. I've seen it from my videos in the comment section and questions about that. And so really what you have to recognize is that when you give to someone, right, there is this expectation, subconscious expectation, that they're going to be there for us when we need them. And it's because of that expectation they're going to be faithful and loyal to you. It's because of that expectation that you feel hurt when they, when all of a sudden you put up a boundary and say, I can't do this anymore, and so they throw you to the dogs, right? You're an outcast now. They have nothing to do with you once you're not able to help them. And so you have to recognize that when you give, if you're going to give something or do something for someone, do it without any expectation whatsoever. Recognize that they may not respond the way you want them to respond. They may not respond the way, more than likely they won't. I've seen it so much, guys. And so when you don't have any expectations, you won't get hurt as much. But it's normal. It's normal to have expectations. You're doing, you're giving of yourself, you're doing all these things for your family members. And you hope, that's the hope, is that, when you do all these things, these people will be there for you when you need them. But unfortunately, guys, that's not the world we live in, right? And it's sad, but it's true. And it's not with everyone, though. Remember, there are certain people that will do that and certain people that won't do that. And I think you just have to kind of know the people, get from experience, maybe from past experience, how they've treated you, right? What it is, that are they there for you when you can't give them anything? Then you know that if you give them something now, at least it's not only because you are always giving and they're always taking, right? But it does hurt, and it does hurt. You're human. It's normal to hurt, right? But I think the biggest thing that you can do to save yourself and that emotional pain when when people don't respond the way that you expect them to, it's really about expectation, right? That you basically just understand that people are in a different place than you are. And you know what? You just learn your lesson and you let them go. Let them go. Because there's nothing else that you can do to keep your sanity. By the way, guys, as you're watching this, please like the video for me, because it does help me to extend my reach. And right now I only have 5 people watching, but if you all 5 like it for me, I would really be grateful. All right. For just another friendly hike, but no response this time at all. Next. Yes. Yes, that's the attitude. That's the attitude. It's best to, there is this thing that when somebody shows you who they are the first time, believe them. And there might be things, as I said, that individual might be working out. And until they work that out, it's really, you won't know. You won't know what they're going through, because they're going through their own stuff. And so you have to let them work out their stuff before you get connected to them. So that's the best way to handle that one, Martin. All right. So guys, like the video for me, please. Don't forget to like the video. It helps extend my reach on YouTube and helps to get more people to watch it. Mario, thanks for that. What do you think about dismissive avoidant, and what are they can do no contact after break? What are they, and are they regretful ever? Okay. Dismissive avoidant attachment style, they will feel some kind of regret, but you won't know, because they're not going to share that with you. Because for them, being vulnerable is not one of their traits. They're not going to be vulnerable and to tell you that they're hurt, right? So even if they're hurting, you won't know. You won't know from them, and they won't tell anyone. They keep everything inside. Remember, they're not comfortable exhibiting emotional anything. So they keep everything very close to themselves, so you won't know if they're hurting. And they might regret it, but they won't let you know. So that's the unfortunate thing about having a relationship with somebody who's dismissive avoidant, is because they are not comfortable with showing emotions, and also being vulnerable. They're not comfortable with being vulnerable, so they're not going to tell you all their deepest, darkest pain. They're not going to tell you that. So even if they are, they're not going to let you know. But they do feel it. That's the difference between a dismissive avoidant attachment style and the narcissist. The narcissist will not feel any pain over leaving you, right? It is they don't have that kind of a feeling of empathy. The dismissive will feel it, but they won't exhibit it and tell you because they don't like that feeling of being vulnerable. If you understand what I mean, guys. Nobody's liking the video. Like, press that little hand, that little thumbs up thing. Okay, so any other questions, guys? Let me see if I have any more questions from the chats that from the uh for the ladies. Somebody asked, a lady was a female question, and she was, should you pursue a man? Not a good idea. Men were, you can let them know that you're interested in terms of the body language and all that kind of stuff, that can let somebody know that you're interested, but it's not a good idea for a female to pursue a man, because men are born to be the pursuers. That's how they were, that they're the ones who go out and get the jobs before, and they were the ones who did, they're the ones who go to war and fight and do all those kind of stuff, manly stuff, right? So a woman should make herself available and let the person realize that they're interested and they like them, but not pursue them. Let's see. So I got this question about people having just controlling their thoughts, and I work my clients I go through rigorous things with them about their thoughts. I'm always helping them to work through their thoughts, because that's one of the most powerful change that you can do to have some kind of control, self-control in your behavior. Because your thoughts, remember guys, your thoughts come, you get some kind of a thing happening, and then you have a thought about that thing. There are different steps that happen before you even behave or start feeling all that emotional turmoil, right? The first thing that happens is that there is some kind of a challenge or experience or a trigger, if you might call it, right? Something that triggers you. And then you have a thought comes to mind about that trigger. Now, what we don't recognize is that we give that thought a meaning, right? We give that thought a meaning. And the meaning that we give that thought is going to dictate how we feel. So the emotions, right? And so if we give that thought a negative meaning, we're going to feel bad. If we give it a positive meaning, we're going to feel better, right? And when I'm saying, I'm not telling you to give the thought a random meaning. You're going to ask, the meaning that you're going to give to the thought is going to be true, right? But a lot of times we go to the negative meaning because that's what we've always done, and it's coming from a subconscious automatic response that we do. So when you start questioning your thoughts, you start to ask yourself, okay, so this thought is coming in. The meaning we give to it is, this person is cheating. Say, for example, that's a negative thought, right? Or the other meaning we could give to that thought, this person being late, this person is late. So the thought is like, this person is cheating. So so we could give that thought also that this person is running late because there's a lot of traffic, or maybe they got held up, at work, different things. So of course, you know that those two meanings are going to give you two different feelings or emotions. The feeling of this person is cheating is going to give you a bad emotion, which is going to cause you to jump at this person as soon as he comes through the door or she comes through the door and attack them and say that they're cheating, right? The next meaning that this person is probably running late at work because maybe the boss asked him to do something else, or because they're just in traffic is bad, and whatever it is, it's a different emotion that you're going to get, right? So now you're going to think, okay, when the person comes through the door, you're going to say, oh, what happened? And you're not going to attack that person so much. They say, oh boy, traffic was bad and whatever it is, and that's over. So you're going to have a different end result, behavior response when that person comes through the door, right? So there are different ways to slow down your thoughts so that now you take back control of the thought instead of the thought coming in and taking control of you, right? So we work on that a lot inside in our sessions with my clients, and that's one of the ways that you can help to manage your thoughts. Okay, any other questions, guys? Any other questions? Guys, like the video for me, please. Close. Anybody have any other questions? I'm going to try and do more of these lives because, you know, I recognize that, you know, I just have to do them more so that more people know that I'm doing them. That way that, that you know, there's some kind of consistency. So if nobody else has any more questions, we could just wrap this up because I didn't write a lot of questions from past comments from my YouTube videos, so I only have those. Is there any more? No, that's it. Oh, I have one more question. Oh, can a secure person become anxious or avoidant? Yes, it can happen. And the reason it can happen is that this person might have had. Now, one thing I want to say up front is that a secure person can usually get out of these relationships quite quickly, right? When they see that somebody is dismissive or they're too anxious or just not, but they will take their time at the beginning and work with them. However, if this individual gets to be in a lot of different relationships, which is usually difficult, it would have to be really significantly horrible, right? That person, and for whatever it is, maybe this secure person is going through a rough time in other areas of their lives that kind of make them feel as if they really need some kind of a support. They may get caught up into in relationships where it triggers that, you know, it makes them anxious, right? But it's not very often. It has to be a lot of other things that's involved to cause this person to be anxious or to be avoidant. Most for the majority of the times, because as I say, all of these attachment styles are along a spectrum, right? And so a secure person may have a little bit more anxiety than, you know, and but mostly secure, but that little anxious part of them might be triggered by somebody who's dismissive that they are in a relationship with. And that if they do not get out of that early enough or manage themselves properly, it could end up by them being quite anxious, or, you know, in another, if they're with a dismissive person, you know, it depends on who they're with. But it's much more difficult with a secure person to become anxious or avoidant when they're in relationship with somebody like that, because they will get out of it, but it's just the combination of other things that might they're going through problems like not having a job, or they're sick or some other things, and they're not able to really deal with all of these things. Then this is possible that they can become anxious if they're in a relationship with somebody who is dismissive, or become dismissive with somebody who is anxious. So, you know, it is possible, but it's very, very low level possible, if that makes sense. Okay, so so guys, I don't see any more questions, so we can wrap this up for now, and I can see you. Thanks, Martin. We'll wrap this up, and next time I'll make sure I can get on my computer or something. But I'll see you guys next time, and thank you all for coming in. All right, bye-bye. Do I stop this thing here?